So I have been working occasionally on my dream ideas for the perfect theme park resort. We've already looked at the Castle Park and the Fantasy Adventure Park, but there's still another park I would really love to see in this. An actual movie making studios park, like we used to have. So, in my slowly going series on dream theme parks and resorts and what I would do if I built my own, I kind of left open the last park, and that would be my studios park, where we would actually produce movies and make them come alive. This is what Universal Studios Hollywood used to be, still is a little bit with the tram tour. It's what Universal Studios Florida and Disney MGM Studios were originally built upon. All three of them have really kind of strayed from that, which I think is a sad thing. It honestly helped ignite a passion in my kids for making videos and movies and learning more and becoming a part of it. Yes, we've been in movies before. Honestly, I think it's one of the best ideas for a park, and I would love to see it come back and in a way that is successful. So how would I organize this dream park? Well, I would do something that Hollywood Studios does and Disney's California Adventure does a little bit. Your entrance to the park would be Hollywood, California, styled after that. It may have a walk of fame in it. We would have a theater there where you would have kind of like the Chinese theater where you could do the cement prints. Yes, we actually have real famous people doing it. I'd love to take those fantasy elements of Hollywood with the walk of fame and the prints and the theaters, have a couple different theaters. Let's do a Chinese theater on one end of this, and then maybe the cafe theater on the other. And so you get kind of the feel of both of those. Each of those theaters leading into actual theaters where you would have shows. Let's do a full Broadway style show, kind of like what they do at California Adventure. And then let's have something else at the other. Let's make the front end of this feel like you were in Hollywood. And as you walk in, you get to experience old classic Hollywood. There's the citizens of Hollywood out there helping to make it come alive, just like they do at Hollywood Studios, or at least they did when they were still around. And again, helping to make all of this come alive. At one end of this, you're also going to have the Tower of Terror. Gotta have the Hollywood Tower of Terror. Love this ride, and it fits in so well. So you've got a full Hollywood area up at the very front of this that really kind of welcomes you in and lets you realize that you are here in this golden age of movie making and helping it come to life. As you get past this, and it would kind of branch, you'd come up through a main street, and then you'd have a T with the theaters at each end, and then you'd kind of come up to the center, and from there would branch out into the actual studios. We would do movie making. We would have a whole district that would be different sets that could be used for movie making. If you've ever been on the tram tour at Universal Studios, you kind of know what I mean. Hollywood Studios used to have a whole area like this. Let's take this place where, yes, they could actually make movies. Yes, we can close off parts of it. Let's make it big enough that there are several sets there. And I don't mind a tram tour. I think a tram tour would be cool, especially if it was actual, real sets. Not like, forgive me, the fake tour that used to be at Disney MGM Studios and Universal Orlando, because they didn't really do anything, they just pretended. No, let's actually do some stuff. Let's make it a working studio so you can do that and they can see these effects in action. One of the things I absolutely loved at the old Universal Studios, still have vivid memories of it as a kid, and that Disney MGM Studios did, was you had the secrets of movie making. You would go in and you would see how they would do the green screen effects, how they would do the makeup, how they would do the explosives. And you'd had opportunities where they explained this, they showed it, and then they would get audience members involved. I still remember as a kid of like 10 years old going to Universal Studios Hollywood for the first time and seeing one of these shows where they pulled audience members in, put them in the show, let them be part of the crew, the actors, for the show and actually filmed it and then sold the video afterwards. I didn't know anybody that was in this show, but I wanted to buy that video because it was so cool what they did, how they did it, and man, even though I wasn't in it, I felt like I was. Let's bring that back again. We would have several studios, some actual working studios, and then some of these studios would actually be, here's how they do it. Here's the way they do it. And some of the studios could be set up like they do down in Florida sometimes, where they would actually film in them occasionally and invite park members in to be part of it. So game shows, perhaps. Pro wrestling, I know, tends to work really well there. And some other things like that. Let's have those in actual studios throughout the park. The other thing I would love to bring back, although it would have to be the opposite side of the park from where the filming was doing, it might actually even have to be done indoors to make it work because of the noise, would be Lights, Motors, Action. I loved Lights, Motors, Action. Now, I don't know if you could do it with electric cars. Maybe that would make up for the noise. It was a cool show. There was a reason it filled this huge stands every show, because it was an amazing show that showed how they did the stunts, how they filmed the stunts, how they made it look real. It was a cool show. Definitely, absolutely want to bring back Lights, Motors, Action and put it back in action somehow. And like I said, it would probably have to be the opposite side of the park from where we'd have the film studios. We might even have to do like the tram tour, and I'm thinking off the top of my head here, have you come up on the tram tour and then have it go off into another part where the working sets and everything are down the hill and someplace else, while all this other stuff is up here making noise. Something like the Indiana Jones stunt show. Now, I wouldn't do Indiana Jones. I would not do the old Six Flags Batman stunt shows because they were terrible. But definitely something where you could see how they do some of the stunts, get the audience members involved. You couldn't do Indiana Jones because it's copyrighted, but something along that lines, especially if you could get a nice big movie. Well, hey, maybe do a Marvel Avengers stunt show or something like that. Something like that would be cool. One of my struggles that honestly, one of the things I get frustrated with over what the current MGM Hollywood Studios is now, is they've left behind the movie making. And instead, now you just have these random areas that are kind of there. I would not do that. In this case, the whole park, one way or the other, would be tied in and related to the making of movies somehow. So the kids area, if you ever got to see the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids playset at Hollywood Studios, it would have something like that, where you walk into this area and you feel like you're in the set, and the kids could play, and you feel like you're in a completely different world. Maybe it's not Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but some other kind of thing. I would not have, like Universal Hollywood does, where you can stand at the bottom of a stairway and you can go Jurassic Park, The Mummy, Transformers, because none of them go together. That to me just is like, no, it doesn't work. So I wouldn't be doing the movie realms, the movie areas, kind of like you see with Harry Potter and Star Wars. I wouldn't do that. But at the same time, because it's a working studio, we could do things like the old Star Wars weekends, where you could have special events and you could bring in characters from movies and do shows and things like that, because that would fit. You'd have a parade. I love the old Stars and Cars parade at Hollywood Studios because it fit Hollywood. It felt like you're seeing these movie stars, except they were Disney characters, cruising through in a parade. It was a great parade. I would do things like that that would make you feel like you're in old classic Hollywood. And that way you could feature some other stuff. If you've got a big special movie event going on, you could bring it in, you could set aside certain areas where you could meet the actors, see how they do some of the special effects, see the characters, but you'd know that you were still in Hollywood and it was still a special event. And of course, you can't forget the Great Movie Ride. We've got to have the Great Movie Ride because it's classic Hollywood. So that's kind of what I would picture my last major park being. Would you like to see a park like that? Do you have great memories of the old ones? Or do you think that this Universal Studios and Disney Studios parks are better now than they used to be? I'd love to hear your opinions. Would you have fun at a park like that? Let me know. Thank you so much for hitting that like button, sharing, subscribing, and sharing your ideas with me as well. Don't forget to hit that description, check it out. There's a ton of info there, including how to be a supporter. I'm so grateful for my YouTube members and my patrons. Their financial support makes so much possible. And so do you just by watching. So thank you so much, and God bless. So in my slowly going series on my dream theme... So on my slowly going theory... Oh my goodness. We would have a set... Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to know about contact information, fan pages, merchandise, and more, please be sure to check the description below. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to know when I have new ones, well, make sure you hit that subscribe button right up there. And if you want to see another one of my videos, well, I've got a great one for you right here. And a huge thank you to these wonderful people here who support me on Patreon and with YouTube memberships. They get behind the scenes information, special perks, and more. If you'd like to know more about that, well, make sure you check that button right there. Thank you so much.